All right, so today we are really diving deep. We're talking karate and specifically something called Kihon,
Kihon. Yeah.
which I think a lot of people, when they first hear that, they're like, oh, okay, that's basic techniques, stances, that sort of thing.
Yeah, the basics.
But it's actually so much more
Much more.
than that. And today I really want to get into like what Kihon truly is
Yeah.
and how it connects to all the different aspects of karate. And this is something that I think is really fascinating because what if I told you that like understanding one foundational kata could actually help you understand all the rest of them?
Oh, absolutely. And that's where we get into the real meaning of Kihon. It's not just about those basic movements, it's about the underlying principles that connect all aspects of karate.
Okay.
So we're talking about movement dynamics, body mechanics, how you generate energy, breathing techniques, mental focus, all of that really ties back to Kihon.
So you're saying that like the kata themselves embody these principles?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And a great example of that is like if we look at a kata like Sanchin
Okay.
or Naifanshi, which is sometimes what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
That's often considered like a Kihon kata, like a foundational kata.
Okay. Yeah.
And the idea is that by mastering the principles within Sanchin, you can actually help yourself understand and refine other kata, even ones that have like totally different sequences. And sometimes those are called like kaishugata.
I see. Now I've heard this phrase before. All you need is Sanchin.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what we're getting at here?
Exactly. Now, it doesn't mean that you should only practice Sanchin,
Right.
but by understanding its principles, you're basically unlocking this deeper understanding of other kata.
Gotcha.
It's almost like when you learn grammar rules,
Okay. Yeah.
and once you understand those rules, then you can understand any sentence.
Right.
You can even construct sentences you've never even seen before.
Right. So it's like the grammar of karate. So then can you give me like a concrete example then of how like a grammatical rule would translate into a karate principle?
Sure. So
Okay.
so let's take the the concept of ikimi,
Okay.
which means focus.
Okay.
And this is emphasized a lot in Sanchin,
Yeah.
this real concentrated focus. But then that translates directly to a kata like Basai Dai, which is known for these very like sharp, precise movements. So even though the techniques might look different, that underlying principle of ikimi connects them.
Okay. I'm starting to see how those connect, but how does this then translate into like someone's like overall performance in karate?
Right. Well, it really elevates your entire practice, And
Right.
and here's where it gets even more interesting. The way that you execute a technique, the mechanics of each movement, it's all tied to the practical application.
Okay.
What we call waza.
Okay.
So how you move is determined by its intended use in a real-world situation.
So if these principles are so crucial, like for practical application, why isn't the application always emphasized from the beginning?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
There could be a number of reasons, Sometimes it might be the instructor's understanding
Yeah.
and teaching methods, right? They themselves may not fully grasp how to bridge that gap between the Kihon principle
Okay.
and the real-world application.
Okay.
Or maybe they prioritize building that strong foundation in the basics before they introduce more complex applications.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So then connecting this back to Sanchin for a moment, can you give me an example of how a specific principle from Sanchin could then influence the application of a technique in a different kata?
Yeah. So Sanchin emphasizes deep, controlled breathing,
Okay.
which is linked to stability and power generation.
Okay.
So let's say you're performing a block in another kata.
Hmm.
By applying those same breathing principles that you've developed in Sanchin, that block becomes more than just a defensive movement.
Okay.
It becomes a stable, rooted technique that can redirect an opponent's force.
I see. So even though like the outward form of the techniques is different, the underlying principle creates that through line of understanding.
Exactly.
That's pretty profound.
It is. When you approach karate with this deeper understanding of Kihon, your practice becomes more meaningful. You start to see the interconnectedness of the art and discover its true depth.
Absolutely. So to recap, Kihon isn't just about basic techniques. It's the bedrock of understanding and applying karate effectively.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Now here's something to think about.
Okay.
If all kata contain these fundamental principles, how might observing a skilled practitioner's movements in any kata reveal insights into their understanding of Kihon. It's something to ponder as you continue your karate journey.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back with more fascinating explorations soon. So keep training and keep exploring.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See ya.